YouTube. I'm back for another one. So, I wanted to get on here real quick. This shouldn't take long, but it may be a little bit longer. But I want to try to keep this at least under 20 minutes. Um, I want to talk about today smart contracts. All right. Also, I want to talk about win-win situations as well. Now, let's break it down first things first, and let's put the definition on it. The definition of a smart contract are typically used to automate the execution of an agreement so that all participants can be immediately certain, right? That's the key. Immediately certain of the outcome without any intermediary involvement or time loss, right? They can also automate the workflow, triggering the next action when predetermined conditions are met, right? So, smart contracts for business and financing. So, we're in a time now where more people are getting things done amongst each other. So the time for where a third party or an intermediary may not be necessary. Or you can have someone who would put two people together and they would receive a fee or a commission for putting two people together. However, the two people that are put together are the ones who's actually going to put together the terms and conditions of the agreement to be executed for the benefit of both parties. Right? I'm going to say that again. The smart contract gives the ability for maybe some cases an intermediary or maybe not. An intermediary is not always necessary to execute a smart contract. You can have two parties who come together to make an agreement, whereas each party they're going to execute their end of the agreement. And of course, there could be certain conditions and certain points where certain things are being executed throughout the agreement, right? So the time has come for really a third party that actually has to put two and two together to be able to make an agreement happen. So the question is what type of value are you bringing to the world? What type of value are you personally bringing to the market, right? How can someone benefit from what you have to offer, whether it's some type of service or you have a product that you offer or you're manufacturing something, right? To make the world a better place or improve the lives of others, right? So, uh, obviously, the reason why I'm talking about this is because being that I am in the commercial real estate space, also in business financing, there is definitely a need for this type of agreement to be put in place, so that way all parties can benefit. Now, a lot of folks they tend to want other people to do things for them. It's really coming to the point where nobody's gonna like you pay somebody to do something and then they actually do it, because we see that people are literally running off with your money. They're not actually executing on what you actually paid for. So you actually have to literally know the terms and conditions of the agreement so that way it can get done properly, right? um you doing things whereas others have to do the job for you. it's not going to really work unless you have an actual solid agreement in place with both parties signed and being held accountable for the job or whatever you need to get done, right? So yeah. Now, when it comes down to the business side of things, certain agreements people get into for, let's say, for loans to borrow money so they can further their endeavors, start up money for a business, or they're trying to expand existing business, get more products, pay for supplies for things to get done, right? So there is definitely moving forward going to be more of a need and to be more clear when it comes down to these agreements. Typically when you think back in the day, you think of a contract, people think of a long, a list of things that need to be done, and then there's also this fine print that you really can't read. It'd be these small little letters, and you really can't read it, right? So you're not really sure what you're signing. So it's come where the agreement has to be clear. Like, we got to know what we're getting into when we're getting into it, right? So I'm not going to sign something that I'm not sure of. So, for example, like, I think about like the agreement of, like, let's say life insurance or health insurance, right? There's a fine line. Like, you really need to read those documents that you're signing, especially when it comes down to life and health insurance. Like, one little thing that goes wrong, and you've been paying for X amount of years, and something would have happened to your loved one, and boom, they're not paying the claim out, right? They say that 1% of life insurance policies actually pay out. 1%. Just one. So if 1% of life insurance policies actually pay out, what does that tell you? I'm gonna let y'all think for just a second. You need to know what you're signing. You need to know what you're getting into, what your part is in the agreement, and what the other party's involvement in the agreement is, and to fulfill that. This way, if anything were to happen, as long as you fulfilled your end of the agreement, you could take that to any court on the planet, and you're going to be granted a judgment in your favor to be able to make sure you can get compensated for that executed agreement, right? So that's obviously, pertaining to business, and you can talk about business on all different types of levels, right? But I'm talking about, like, in this case, I'm talking about business financing. So, for example, in certain countries and religions, you can borrow money. However, you don't have to pay back interest. And if you think about it, going into the scriptures, if you charge someone interest, that's considered usury, right? But if I let you borrow some money, obviously I have it to borrow. So if you're charging interest, technically, that means that they're using someone else's money to let you borrow it, so that way you can further what you need to do, because they actually have to pay. That interest is portion of the interest is going towards other people or other investors who put up that money on a company or institution's behalf, right? So the institution is actually managing the fund, whereas the people behind the scenes, who are the true funders, they're the one that's getting interest, and the people that's managing the fund, they get a percentage, right? I'm going to go into a little bit more detail, but not too much. Now, for example, currently I'm operating under a fund, right? So the fund simply gives me the ability to raise unlimited capital. That unlimited capital that I have the ability to raise right now simply puts me in a position of a fund manager. So I'm managing the fund. I am the owner of the fund also, but I have to actually manage and control the fund also as well. So, however, the money is not my money per se, though I have control over it and I'm managing the fund. It's not my money. The money is coming from a multitude of investors from around the world who put money into this pool that I control, and I'm able to go out and do business with it, right? For example, I'm able to go out and buy property with this money. So obviously, this is not for just anyone. That you have to be a certain level of investor, someone that's actually generating a certain amount of money on a consistent basis to be able to be determined and deemed eligible for this kind of fund, right? So this is not for just everyday people. Now, I do actually have a fund that everyday people can be a part of. However, most folks who are not making a certain amount of money, they tend to not have that business sense to be able to get involved in something like this to help, improve their future. But nonetheless, that's not what I'm talking about here. The whole purpose of this is talking about smart contracts and business financing. Now, the fund simply allows the investors to be able to make what's called passive income. Like literally, no matter what, whether they lose their job, they lose money out of their personal business, they know for sure that this money is actually coming in on a monthly basis. So they're getting their monthly dividend checks, or sometimes, depending on how it's structured, maybe it could be quarterly or every 6 months. Typically, it's monthly, maybe quarterly, right? So they know for sure they're getting this money based upon what they invested in, how much money they put into the pool. So, for example, it could be one investor who put up, let's just say, for example, $100 million. That one investor says, "Okay, I'm putting $100 million into this pool. You're going to manage the fund. I want you to give me, I want 50%, or say 49%. Let's just keep it simple. 50% of all the income coming in from this particular amount of money." So let's just say if I was to take that $100 million and I was to buy X amount of property with it, right? X could be, a combination of residential houses, some commercial buildings, maybe some office buildings, maybe even some industrial parks where I actually have some manufacturing going on, right? So all of that income coming in from that $100 million, let's just say that $100 million can generate, give or take, let's say $20 million a year, right? That might be pretty little generous, but it's possible. So that hundred million put into the pot that I'm managing, this investor has to do nothing. I do all the work because I'm the fund manager. Every year, $20 million is coming in from that pot. That which is broken up into 12 months, but let's just say yearly, right? Just to keep it simple. You guys can do the math. I'm sure you're intelligent enough to do that. So that $20 million is coming in every single year. Automatically, 50% of that income is going straight to that investor every single year consistently. So they know for sure that they're getting $10 million every single year. So this investor is solidified within the investment fund for a good solid 10 years. Guaranteed income coming in for 10 years. Now, what type of income are they talking about? Solidified with real estate. People always need a place to sleep. People always need a place to go to work. People always need industrial buildings to go work in and produce products, make products, etc. So it is guaranteed income for that investor. That's why they would put in $100 million in my fund. Simple as that. Now, That's on the business side of things. Now, when it comes down to financing, say someone wants to borrow money from the fund, right? It may not even have to be from my fund. I may get the money from other investors who actually sitting on maybe 20, $30 million that they want to and they want to invest and they want to get a return on their money. I would pretty much go to them and say, hey, I got this guy. He needs X amount of dollars. Let's say Joe up the street is looking to get $50,000 so he can go ahead and put into his business so he can get more inventory, right? Let's say Joe is operating a small restaurant. Joe shows me his financials. He shows me that he's making X amount of dollars every single month. So I can calculate based upon how much Joe is making every single month in his restaurant. And I can determine, say, hey, Joe either qualifies or he doesn't qualify to get the 50,000. Joe may even qualify for more than that. So let's just say Joe qualifies 50,000. But come to look at it a little bit deeper, Joe qualifies for a little bit more. He may qualify for actually 100,000. So I can double up on what Joe's looking for. Say, hey, Joe, you qualify. I can get you $100,000. I can pull the money from the fund, which is another aspect of the fund, right? I can pull the money from the fund and fund Joe what he needs. And I know that every single month, as Joe's generating more income, that income is either going to come back to the fund or it's going to go to the investor who put up the money. All right? So that's the business and the financing side of things. Also, there's other aspects of a contract, specifically a smart contract, when it comes down to you got business, you have financing, when it comes down to loans. Also, you can use a fund to acquire other businesses. That's actually going to be for another day, right? Buying businesses. I'll talk about that on the next video. So look out for that one right there, right? I'm not going to get into that right now. Now, because I'm trying to keep this under 20 minutes and I'm like a little bit getting close there. So that is the benefits of a smart contract and how it actually works. Now, win-win situations. Another thing I want to talk about. When it comes down to a win-win situation, we have been so caught up in this world where we think that when two people come together to do business, that one person wins and one person loses. We need to get out of this retarded mindset. A lot of y'all got a retarded mindset. You have not been, either it's probably you haven't been raised right or you just can't function mentally when it comes down to it. There are situations where you can sign an agreement and both parties benefit, or even a third party will benefit by getting a fee for putting two people together. A win-win situation can happen every single time. You know what the problem is with a lot of people? You have a lackluster mentality. You also have a poverty mindset. A lot of people have what's called a poverty mindset. I'm going to say it again. A lot of people have a poverty mindset, right? And, I guess it's not everyone's fault because this is what the society has bred in the minds of people, is with a poverty mindset. But all I can tell you guys is try to focus on getting out of that poverty mindset, because the world is an abundant place. The Most High created this land for us to be able to grow. There's room for growth. Focus on that. Now, and I'm going to end this here with, I'm actually going to start another channel. This channel is going to be strictly about real estate, residential and commercial. I'm actually going to be doing fix and flips, multifamily property, industrial buildings all over the world. So look out for the world tour. It's coming. I'm going to be traveling all over the place, doing videos and showing you properties from all over the place getting fixed and flipped. All right. Peace.